God was, God is, and God will be. Thanks be to God. Have you heard those words before? I've got like a big-eyed nod going on over here. Why do we all know those words? Where have we heard them? Where have you heard that? Yeah.
My school.
At your school? Yeah.
And sometimes in children's Sunday school.
And sometimes in Sunday school. Anywhere else? Yeah? Sometimes in the worship service? Yeah, we're like we just did. Yeah. We hear those words in a lot of places. Yeah, Zah? And a lot during the pandemic. Yeah. You know when we started saying those words as a congregation? Spring of 2020. Do you remember that time? Do you remember the beginning of the pandemic? Some of you were pretty young at that time. A little bit for some of you. Do you remember how it felt? How did it feel? Not good. Yeah. Do you have any memory of how grown-ups around you felt? Or how they acted? Kiara's doing a really good expression of it. She went, yeah. I remember feeling really worried and confused, and like we just didn't know what to do or have any idea what would work and what wouldn't and what was coming. It was kind of a worry-filled time, yeah.
So I didn't really like wearing the masks.
You didn't really like wearing the masks. I didn't either. I didn't enjoy that. We did it to help each other, right, to live in community, but it wasn't super fun for anyone. Yeah. And worst of all, we couldn't come, for me it was worst of all, we couldn't come together as a church family. When we were all feeling all of those things, we couldn't gather here in person together. So we started having this weekly short video that went out to the whole church. And we shared stories about how God was showing up in our lives even when we were worried and confused. It was a way of helping us to be community together. We did that segment for 2 years, so over 100 segments. And every single time, do you know how we ended? We can say it together. How did we end? God was, God is, and God will be. Thanks be to God. That phrase actually can sum up worship. The first part is about who God is. So in the Bible, when God gets asked, "Who are you?" God says, "I am, I will be." God, who has always been and always will be, who is now, that's who God is. And so we respond with, thank you. Thanks be to God. And in a nutshell, that's worship. When we say that phrase, we have this like mini time of worship. It's a way of checking in with God and checking in with our church family. When we do that over and over and over, when we say or sing or do anything over and over and over, it forms us. It helps make us who we are, and it makes it so that when life throws stuff our direction, when we're in a time where we feel worried, those words, those ways of being can float to our minds and come out of our mouths and come out of our bodies and help us remember who God is and who we are because of who God is. We're in another time where some are feeling worried and confused and like we might not know what's coming up. some of you might feel that way, or you may just notice people around you feeling that way. This time, though, we can come together as a church family. So that's a gift. We don't have to do a video to be able to know what's going on in people's lives. And that helps us to be able to be together. In these coming days, in the weeks, in the months, any time in life, really, when you sense that you're feeling a little off, or when you notice that grown-ups around you seem to be feeling a little worried, maybe they're just not as patient as usual. I'm getting some nods from that one. You can take a moment for this little act of worship. You can do it with your breath if you want. You can breathe in, God was, God is, and God will be. Breathe out, thanks be to God. Should we try that together? Breathe in, God was, God is, and God will be. Breathe out, thanks be to God. We're going to end our children's time with this brief act of worship. So let's get in a circle. Have you noticed that our sanctuary is a circle? Yeah. We don't have a lot of people sitting in that part of the circle, do we? They would feel a little on display if we did that. But let's get in a circle, and our church family is around us in this circle. And let's say these words together. God was, God is, and God will be. Thanks be to God. Amen. You may go back to your seats.